Good evening. Welcome to the season finale of the Southeast Tennessee Friday Night Pressbox podcast presented by Team FYN Sports. Joined as always by Jeff Kate at the Jeff Kate on Twitter and the old ball coach Mark Stone. Guys, how we doing?
I'm doing great. I'm bored. No football. We've been footballless for a week now. I'm not a big NFL fan. I'll watch it every now and then, but I'm not a big NFL fan. I'm ready for some college bowl games, about 60 of them, and I'm ready for some more football.
That will start on December 17th, this Friday, Coach Stone.
Friday, what is it? Middle Tennessee State and
Toledo
in the Bahamas.
In the Bahamas.
Wow.
Wouldn't you like to just go to the Bahamas for a week for a bowl game?
That would be awesome.
I like to go down just for a week period, much less for a bowl game. You know what I'm saying?
A friend of mine, his freshman year, playing at Tennessee, they went to Hawaii, and back then, they had JV or freshman teams or whatever. And on Friday night, they played their game, And he was telling me that I said, "What'd you do on Saturday?" And he said, "I didn't even go to the ball game." He said, "I was going to hang out one more night there." And he had a blast with it, and he absolutely loved it. Back in the '70s, and he loved it.
All right, just along those lines, I know obviously this is a high school football focused podcast, but we mentioned the bowl games. Too many bowl games, not enough, or just right for you guys? What do you think?
I like it.
Go ahead, Coach. I'm sorry.
I personally like it. I really do. But I guess if you really pin me down, there's probably too many. I don't think just your average person, says, "Hey, there's a ball game on tonight, and let's watch it." But there is some great football through that bowl thing. Wow.
I would like to see the number go from 6-6 to 7-5, to where you have to have a winning record, not just to be 500, and that might eliminate what eight games total. 16 teams. I would like to see it go to 7-5.
Yeah, but I think I'm kind of in that boat too. As far as I think there are too many personally. Now it's great to have more football on throughout the whole month of December. Halfway on, you got a game or two at least every night, and which is a good thing for football junkies like us. But at the same time, it's kind of like you get those watered down games where if you want to look and see if the bowl game should be on the schedule or not, just look in the crowd and see the crowd in attendance to see how because that's your first telltale sign. Like, does the people in that community where it could be wherever, Boise, Idaho, or Shreveport, wherever, just look at the fans in the stands and see. Like I said, that should be your first barometer or indicator about how the bowl game is going to be perceived. So,
to piggyback off of that, what is your favorite bowl game name? So the favorite name of the bowl. Jeff, we'll start with you.
Is this past, present, future, or current?
Any bowl ever to be played?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Now obviously the sponsor has a lot to do with it, right? Yeah. So growing up, being a Tennessee fan, I always remember the Comp USA Florida Citrus Bowl when Manning was going every other year. But I'll throw it. Obviously the Rose Bowl is big, and the Sugar Bowl is obviously going to be here and there. But a name going back to Purdue and Tennessee in the Music City Bowl, right? The last time these two teams played was in the the Blue Bonnet Astro Bowl or something like that, the Astro Blue Bonnet Bowl or something like that at the old Astrodome in Houston. So. Names that kind of run, probably a mile long are pretty cool to listen to and read on paper. But it's the sponsors change, but it's good to see the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl kind of come back around because it used to just be called the Chick-fil-A Bowl. I didn't like that. You keep it historical. Obviously, I know the sponsors got to get their bang for their buck, but keep the tradition in there as well. So that's why I'm glad those are back as well.
How about
you, Coach Stone?
How about the Duke Mayonnaise Bowl, Charlotte, North Carolina?
That's perfect.
Oh,
Reckon you get mayonnaise for your hamburger. It's Duke's.
I'm sure.
I guarantee you do.
I used to coach with a guy who'd kill you. He'd kill you if you didn't have anything in your refrigerator but Dukes.
Well, and see, this is pre, Chick-fil-A being inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Back when the Peach Bowl was at the Georgia Dome, I went to a few of those when Tennessee was playing, and they had people going around in the stands with Chick-fil-A, like the trays you normally see the Coke. They were selling Chick-fil-A sandwiches. So you can't sell a Zaxby sandwich or number chicken sandwich at a Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. So when you said that, kind of reminded me of that there, Coach.
I was at the Peach Bowl one time, and they dropped, little cows out of the ceiling.
I caught one.
And they had parachutes, didn't they? Mm-hmm. Things are coming down through there. I'll tell you one bowl that I always love to go to, and I've been to quite a few bowls. The Gator Bowl always put on a show. We went down there one year and took our football seniors down there, and the night before the game, West Virginia had a gigantic tent, and their band was playing. They had some country music star on there playing, and I forgot the other team. It was Michigan State. Michigan State had that guy. He was a big old offensive lineman, steroid guy. You guys wasn't born, but anyway. They really put on a good show. They really did. And one of the most unique places I ever got to go to a bowl game was the Sugar Bowl. And, you take some kids down there, and they learn a lot of lessons right there, buddy.
Yeah, the eyes get this big, and
put on your sunglasses at night, boys.
Exactly. I had a mom come the day before we left, and she said, "Let them boys go down Bourbon Street and see what that's like." And I said, "I ain't doing it. No, it won't happen."
I've got two bowl games that stick out in my mind. So the Bahamas Bowl, before it was just the Bahamas Bowl, was the Bad Boy Mowers Bahamas Bowl. And so I liked that one. And then the Idaho Famous Potato Bowl played in Boise, Idaho. I've always liked that one. Playing on the blue field there at Boise State.
Never liked watching that game. That blue field just kills me.
They've got them all in all different colors now, Coach Stone.
What about the Gasparillo Bowl? Is that the name of it?
I think so.
What's Gasparillo?
What about the Pinstripe Bowl played in Yankee Stadium?
And you run up against the outfield wall catching one in the end zone.
That would be, fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, let's just before we dive into some high school football stuff, let's just kind of look at
run down.
I'll just run through some of the ones that kind of have an interesting, or just some that are off the wall here, guys. The Tail Greeter Cure Bowl, whatever that is, Northern Illinois and Coastal Carolina, right? Well, that's one of them. Going down the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl, that's been around for a while. Let's see. The one thing I do, I'm trying to go look for the ones in Shreveport, the Independence Bowl. Usually that has a pretty cool name right there with it as well. Let's see. The San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl. That's been a historical one as well. So,
how about this one? The Jimmy Kimmel Los Angeles Bowl, presented by Stifle. Jimmy Kimmel gets his own bowl game now.
He has everything, brother. He has everything. Here's another one for you. The Wasabi Fenway Bowl, SMU taking on Virginia. That is on Wednesday, December the 29th. That's a first. I haven't seen that one before. So
Tropical Smoothie Cafe Frisco Bowl.
Now, this was going to stump all you guys, and I'll leave it at that. Let's see. I just lost it here. Give me one quick second. The Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. I bet you can't guess who that's.
Never heard that.
I know, right?
This has to be a first year.
Man, that's just.
What's that one in El Paso?
That's it.
Oh, that's it.
Yep. Okay. Sun Bowl.
I remember, growing up, Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. That's BCS Day. Was it the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl when Boise State did that trick play?
Did the Statue of Liberty on
Statue
Oklahoma?
of
Yep.
Liberty, yeah, on Oklahoma. Got the running back proposed to his girlfriend after that. I remember that.
And more importantly, it's when Tennessee won the national championship. West, come on.
Sorry.
It was Tostitos, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
I wasn't alive for the Tennessee national championship.
Tells
you how young I am.
As a young man, there was no bowl games except on New Year's Day.
Mm-hmm.
It was cotton, orange, sugar, and rose. Those four were on, and then a little bit later you started getting in sprinkling in Peach Bowl and this that and the other. But it was I can remember my dad one year brought a second TV and was watching the Cotton Bowl and the Rose Bowl. Cotton Bowl started about 3:00, and the Rose Bowl started at 5:00. We were sitting there, and then we turned it over because the Orange Bowl was always at night. 1965, Tennessee and Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl. What was it? 26, 25, something like that. Dewey the Swamp Rat, Warren. For Tennessee, I thought they was gonna do it. One of the most famous Tennessee offensive linemen, Bob Johnson, was the center. I was 6 years old then.
6 years old.
I was 6 years old. Oh, I got tore up because it got beat, and that was literally for the national championship. The riders and the coaches voted, and that was. If Tennessee to beat Oklahoma, they were going to be unanimous national champions.
Huh.
So you always hang around me. I'll tell you some things.
I hang around you anytime, Coach Tom.
All right.
Jeff Kate, favorite college mascot?
Favorite college mascot? Let's see. I mean, obviously.
Okay, here, live. And, just the costume.
Oh, I gotta show my, my bias in this, but obviously Smokey has got to be number one for sure. But kind of to get away from the football aspect, I don't know if you guys watch college basketball or not, but the St. Joseph's, have you ever seen their mascot? Like, if you go look it on YouTube, anybody listening or watching this podcast. Go do that as well. Like, their mascot is in the corner, like next to the bench, kind of flapping his arms like this. It's like a hawk the whole game. All right. So, that just, that's more, me and my dad were actually at an NCAA tournament first and second round weekend. I think it was in Birmingham. St. Joseph's was playing there. And I caught myself watching this daggum mascot sometimes more than the actual stuff on the court. Legit.
How many times we can do this?
It's like he just does not stop. He's going up and down. So, that's just – I don't know if that's necessarily my favorite, costume one, but it's the one that kind of definitely sticks out. But if you had to, I've had to make it better, you say, which one's my favorite? The Oregon Duck is one of the best, just simply because the antics he gets in. He'll go to the other sideline and do things with the other mascot and kind of get the other crowd riled up. So that's pretty funny. I'd have to say the Oregon Duck is my go-to suited mascot for sure.
I've always thought about sitting in the stands at the University of Texas or Oklahoma or Colorado, the Buffaloes and them, that wagon, that comes out there. They turned that thing over last year in Oklahoma.
Yeah. And that Longhorn there at Texas.
Yeah, they got two men hanging on that Longhorn. That thing decided to run up in the stand.
Well, and then a couple of years ago, you guys remember the Sugar Bowl when they were taking on I think Georgia. That thing kind of wanted to go toward UGA, before the game. So that's just another example. You think about that as well, and you go back. Speaking of another Sugar Bowl. Historical between two live mascots. Baylor had a real bear that he used to bring to the games with him, like him and Smokey kind of got after each other. I mean, it's on the internet. Go look at it. It is legit. So, a lot of mascots are fun just for that reason because you never know what they're going to do.
So I've got 2 live mascots. I've always thought of the Texas Longhorn. I mean, that thing is so cool. And then my mom and dad went to a Tennessee and South Carolina game, and they said when they brought that dang chicken out and started playing the music, Sandstorm, whatever they play over there, and they wave them towels, they said that place just goes crazy when that dang chicken comes out. So, seems pretty cool to me. And then
LSU, Bengal Tigers.
that tiger, yeah.
And,
What is it, Mike the Tiger?
Yeah, wore the eagle down at Auburn.
Well, see, they need to make up their mind. Are they going to be the Tigers? Are they going to have an eagle?
Yeah.
They need to make up their mind. That's ridiculous. You can't have 2. It's like Ole Miss. Are they the Rebels or are they going to be some shark?
Yeah.
But I will go with my favorite costume, the Stanford Cardinal. And that tree that stands on the sideline. Listen, I have to give a lot of credit to whoever is putting on that tree costume. I'm not. You've earned your scholarship there, buddy.
I tell you what, there has to be air conditioners in them things.
Oh my gosh!
In August, it's 105 degrees at 2:00 in the afternoon in Neyland Stadium. That guy's got to be burning up.
He's got to be.
Yeah.
There's
air conditioners in them.
Either that or they've got to have more than 2 or 3. That way they can take turns or something.
Come on, Wesley. You got to be tougher than that, dude.
Welcome back to the Southeast Tennessee Friday Night Pressbox podcast presented by Team FYN Sports. Jeff, you had some numbers there earlier talking about just how good of a weekend it was for the Blue Cross Bowl. Go ahead and share some of those numbers with us.
Yeah, Stephen Hargis from the Chattanooga Times Free Press a couple of days ago had a very in-depth article that kind of had some, really good things to say about, Chattanooga hosting the, the first of their 2-year guaranteed contract with the Blue Cross Bowl and just kind of the numbers that, people that attended and all that good stuff. And we kind of just throw some little tidbits at you. TWSAA Executive Director Bernard Childers said it was a home run. We were really pleased with every aspect of the event. There were some minor things that we feel can make it an even better experience, but it's nothing the general public wouldn't have even noticed. So, right off the bat, everybody knows if you keep up with high school athletics, not just football in this state, you know who Bernard Childers is and kind of his role with the TWSAA. And right out of the chute, that kind of tells you outside of a few things that, guys like me, you and Coach Stone wouldn't even notice. So that's good to see that everything, flowed pretty well. It seems like on the field, it was great, obviously, with the atmosphere and all that good stuff. And, I like I mentioned, I think a couple weeks ago or last week when the I think I mentioned the concessions were issue was one thing, but I'm sure that's going to be addressed by Tim Morgan and his team at the Chattanooga Sports. I don't know if that's a Finley Stadium issue necessarily, or that's just a overall thing, with starting with Chattanooga Sports working their way down. But either way, that's a minor detail in the aspect of the overall scheme of the weekend. But yeah, as far as numbers go, the main thing is, obviously the temperature was crazy for that time of year, this time of year in this area, right? The first weekend in December, I mean, guys, this, we could have highs in the 70s like we saw at Finley Stadium over that 3-day weekend, or it could be in the 30s during the day with flurries all over us. And, Cookeville has had some bad luck with that in the past. So, right out of the gate, that was definitely a strong suit for Chattanooga. Mother Nature and the good Lord above definitely blessed the weekend with some great weather. But as far as the overall attendance, total attendance, including, media state in the State Coaches Association card members, which is what all the coaches in the state have. They have access to get in. Just over 29,500 total attendance for the 3-day weekend. So nearly 30,000 people over the 3 days. So, you're looking at an average of almost 10,000 per day. And, obviously we know McCallie, played on Thursday night, guys, and you're thinking, okay, they're going to have the biggest crowd since they're less than 5 miles away from McCallie's campus is less than 5 miles away from Finley Stadium. Well, actually, the Saturday games had the most attendance. It wasn't by much. Saturday had like 10,796, and Thursday's total attendance was 10,211. So about 500 people difference, and I think that was definitely the Tullahoma advantage that we saw in that very first Saturday game at 11 o'clock. And like I mentioned last week, the whole visitor side at Finley Stadium, opposite of the press box, was full with Tullahoma people. Obviously, we know the story. The first time in 100 years they played and won a state championship in John Olive's last game, and they definitely brought the intensity and brought the Tullahoma feel there for sure. So, and going back to this is the highest attended Blue Cross Bowl weekend in probably 5 or 6 years. So, I mean, obviously, the newness of the event here in Chattanooga, the excitement, and just I know the corporate partners and stuff and the volunteers at the Chattanooga Sports and, everybody in town pitched in to help with that as well. I looking through the crowd, I saw Coach Fitzgerald at Meigs County. He was there on Saturday. I saw Coach Wes Stone from South Pittsburgh came back Saturday as well. So not only were they coming back there, but people were bringing their teams as well. I think I saw Drew Akins one night as well, the head coach at Walker Valley. So it's a community event. It's not just a specific TSSAA event. It's a community event that Chattanooga definitely embraced. And like I talked about before, just adding another championship chapter to Chattanooga's history playbook for sure.
Drew Akins, that's our guy. He's a podcast friend.
Yeah.
Him and Goose. We need to get him and Goose on next year at the same time.
Well, we may have to do. I mean, probably not when they get ready to face off in a region showdown. But hey, we could definitely throw that out there to them and see if they bite. But
hey, remember that Twitter interaction? They were down to do Goose and Coach Akins at the same time.
And I'm sure they would, because I mean, when Goose Manning was a quarterback at Ottawa, Drew Akins was his quarterback coach. So I mean, they have a history and a relationship there, and continues on in the region showdown we have between Walker Valley and Ottawa guys. But I mean, yeah, as far as just looking through the overall, I'm trying to see if anything really sticks out here. And the paid attendance, obviously, like I mentioned, the 29.5 was the total attendance, which included the VIPs, corporate sponsors, and all that good stuff. The paid attendance was just over 27,000. So that's a pretty strong, not just the total attendance, but just that many that paid to get into this event. That's definitely, I know the TSSAA gets a guaranteed, kickback that Chattanooga Sports had in the bid when they won back the early part of this year. But I'm sure those numbers are definitely going to help them kind of offset their cost and kind of build for next year. So, yeah, just kind of want to see how, listening to Tim Morgan, I think last week on Talk Radio, he was in there and talking to Joe Varner, who's another, podcast guest and friend of the show for sure. Just, they're looking ahead to next year. Obviously that, they took a very much well-needed rest and vacation, but I could tell just through that conversation, they're gearing up for next year and kind of planning for, how to make it bigger and better, and pretty much give the TSSAA no choice but to award the bid back when the bid process opens back up at the end of this current cycle.
Well, you had some teams that didn't make it that we thought would make it from, local teams. Meigs County. Who else? That we thought might make it? Was it Tyner?
I think we're kind of looking at Marion and Meigs.
Yeah.
And then, Ray ran into a buzzsaw with Powell. I think if Ray was able to meet up with anybody but Powell until they got here, they would have brought a good crowd, because they would have been, playing for a state championship for the first time, I believe. And who else? Probably. I mean, Oakland was going to bring, a decent amount of fans. Summit was going to as well. Tullahoma definitely showed that. I think they're rivaling the McCallie turnout. So
Elizabethton, they probably brought a good amount of fans.
And obviously South Pitt brought the whole town on Friday afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, I've seen some, Chattanooga was lucky that they had, South Pitt and McCallie. There's been several examples, even going back to the Murfreesboro and Vanderbilt days, where local teams that were right down the road from the venue helped attendance there as well. So, I mean, that's kind of a null and void point. But the weather, I could definitely see that being a factor as well, because, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, would you rather go sit through 3 games when it's 70 degrees outside or when it's 40? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I definitely get that aspect as well. But, like I said, going back, seeing how Chattanooga has embraced not just, this event, but, events before, like the FCS championship game and, spring fling before it kind of moved away, and the SEC women's basketball tournament, just another example. like I said, just another chapter in the Chattanooga sports championship history book for sure.
They did a super job. I'm telling you, it's an absolute super job. Chattanooga needs to be proud of what they put on, and I'm we're 60 miles away, but I'm so excited that an East Tennessee venue that put it on like they did.
And you know what? You always talk about coaches getting better from year 1 to year 2. You lay the foundation in year 1, and year 2 you come back with, a year under your belt. Chattanooga's, they're going to be able to learn from what they did this year, and next year's just going to be, like you said, Tim Morgan and the Chattanooga sports guys. They're just banking on next year. Ready. I'm sure they're ready for it to be here already.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm sure they were excited that it was here and it went smoothly, but I'm sure they were excited to kind of get a break and kind of decompress because they're gonna be able to sit back and see things that work, things that need to be tweaked, and that sort of thing. And even during the weekend, from day 1 to day 2, I saw like different something as small as like the traffic pattern. They made one turn in that was 2-way going in and out, a 1-way to kind of keep the flow going. So you can see kind of, like coaches making halftime adjustments, Coach Stone, like you did. They're making adjustments on the fly and making things better for the next day for, people who may not have shown up the first day, but are going to have a good experience seeing, the much better flow and organization that they put on for sure.
I started mentioning this last week. I had a friend went down there on Friday, and there was, I think there was some people scattered out through the stands, kind of getting people's take on, what are you liking about this, or what do you, but there was a man just struck up a conversation with him, and, well, what do you like about it? Was it easy? Parking is there something? And I don't know if they've just kind of scattered out and carried on conversation. They didn't really identify themselves, but, but I do. I salute Chattanooga for what they did. Boy, that was awesome.
We had talked about all the good games that were there. So obviously a good product on the field and a good product off of the field, being Chattanooga sports. And, that was just, I thought they did a great job.
One thing that came up in my mind, and you guys may laugh about this, but how can you plan for the weather? You know what I'm saying? 70 degrees, they're going to drink a whole lot more soft drinks than they are hot chocolate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, you can imagine 30,000 people throw down a lot of hot chocolate and coffee. And then all of a sudden it's not 30 degrees. So now everybody's wanting a soda and water and all that stuff. And I'm sure that's hard to plan for, in advance.
I'm sure they trusted the good forecast of David Glenn there in Chattanooga.
Oh, they did, I'm sure. Well, I'm sorry I brought that up, but
I think that's his name, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I thought, David Glenn.
News Channel 9, yes, sir.
Channel 9.
News Channel 9. Growing up, I used to want to be a meteorologist, guys.
But when you got in front of the map, nobody could see the map.
Coach Stone with a zinger.
And I never wanted to be a meteorologist.
Coach Stone, it's the only job you can be wrong at 50% of the time and still have a job.
Man, I'm impressed there, Coach Stone. That was a nice sniper shot from the bushes there.
We're supposed to do that to Tim Towle, not to me.
You don't have to do that. You don't have to hit it right on the right. Well, I was told this was going to happen.
Coach Stone, if it's a 40% chance of rain, does that mean it's a 40% chance of rain for you or for the area?
It's for the area.
I'm glad you know that, Coach Stone.
Well, I pay attention, I've learned a lot of things in my old age.
Oh.
Dunkel will get there one day, won't he, Coach?
Yeah, he will.
I'm a smart guy.
when the blizzard hit, of course, y'all wasn't born or anything like that.
I was.
93.
Hang on now. I was here.
Okay. When
93, wasn't it?
when the blizzard hit, we played a baseball game that day, and after the game, we drug the field and everything. I had my truck over there at the gate, and on the radio, they were going, this is 100%. This is going to hit tonight. There's going to be places that's got 3 or 4 feet of snow, And I drove. I was living in Etowah, coaching at Copper Basin, and I drove home. And I thought, man, bull, this is crazy. It's 60 degrees, and then I woke up the next morning. That gum snow was up halfway up the windows. So, but they said this is for real. This is not going to miss. So, dang, Wesley, I'll write a book someday for you, Wesley.
Please do.
All right.
Call
Wes.
it. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Go
No,
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Nope, I don't even know what I was going to say, to be honest with you.
All right. Well, since you weren't around, let's just go and throw this out there to him here, Coach Stone. How many inches of snow do you think the blizzard of '93 dumped on Chattanooga without having to Google it?
Chattanooga. Okay, let's see. There's 12 inches in a foot, correct?
Yep.
I know in Etowah there was the drifts. There was drifts. It wasn't a wet. It wasn't a wet snow. It was a dry snow because of the drifts and everything. So I'm gonna go with 41 inches of snow.
I was going to go with 3 feet.
You're halfway there. 20 inches.
20?
20.
Man,
still a lot of snow.
That's a lot of snow.
I learned something as a teacher, and I never thought about this, and I taught science. A friend of mine went to Home Depot and bought about 10 5-gallon buckets. And so the next morning, he was afraid, he's going to lose power and he wouldn't have his well and everything. He goes and fills all these buckets up with snow, and he puts them in his basement. So you know how much water is in 5 gallons of snow?
I feel like I know this because it's not much.
It was about maybe an inch in each bucket.
Not only do you learn about high school football on this podcast, everybody, you learn about how much freaking water is in it.
So if we have a blizzard, don't run to your Home Depot and get you a bunch of buckets, because you're going to have one in each bucket. We're going to have 1 inch of water in the bottom of that bucket. Okay, I'm through with that.
Snow cream, do you like it or no?
No, used to.
Wes's favorite is yellow, isn't it, Wes?
I like that lemon snow cream.
I'm not going. No. I used to eat it like crazy. My mama made it for me all the time, but not now.
You can't. What is it? You can't eat the first snow cream. Is that right?
I think so.
Who knows? Who knows? Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then on the backside, there's no telling what we talk about for this third segment. There's not much football going on. Christmas is right around the corner. We might just do a little Christmas talk, guys. What do you think about that?
Cool with that.
Jeff Kate says he's cool with that.
Whatever.
Tell us some of the best stuff you saw on the field this year, right? Obviously, toward the end of the year is a time to reflect on what you experienced in 2021. Wes, you kind of give us what you saw from your McMinn Central Chargers. And,
oh Lord, not much.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'd like to talk that.
I'm just kidding.
I'd like to talk that. That'd be good.
All right, we'll talk about that. Best of 21. Whenever we get back, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Be right back on FYN. Good grief, I just butchered that, didn't I? On the Friday Night Pressbox, presented by Team FYN Sports. Welcome back to the Southeast Tennessee Friday Night Pressbox presented by Team FYM Sports. I got it right that time. All right, best of 21. I will start off with best memory from 2021. We'll kind of do a few different things here. Got about 20 minutes. Best memory of 2021 for me would be the very opening game, McMinn Central, McMinn County. Coach Stone was there. First play of the football game, McMinn County. I mean, we had talked to Coach Cagle, and they were going to be spread offense. They come out, wing T, going to run that veer, and give the game ball to Coach Mullinax's son, obviously Coach John Mullinax, who had passed away a little earlier. And so that was probably my favorite memory of 2021, with that being just a touching moment for both sides of the county there in a big rivalry game to start off the year.
I was that was very touching to me because I broke into coaching under Coach Mullinax. All the respect in the world. We lost a giant in high school football, particularly in Tennessee. I can't say enough, but I was the same way. I was looking, come out in the spread, and all of a sudden, and I'll tell you the name of the play when me and Coach Mullinax put the wing T in at Copper Basin. It was RT 28. That was the play call, and I turned around.
Coach Stone, correct me if I'm wrong. You turned around and you said, "Look, they're going to run RT 28."
Well, when I saw him in it, I thought, because all of a sudden this wasn't spread, the quarterback was under the center and all that. And I turned to whoever, Linda or whoever was sitting beside me, and I said, they're getting ready to run RT 28. And, it touched me because two schools gathered up and after the play was over, I think McMinn got a first down on that play, didn't they?
Yeah, they ran it for about 11 yards.
And I thought, oh, heck, what if they run this thing all the way? McMinn Central here is ready for spread offense. But I tip my hat to Bo and Bo Cagle and Coach Moody, because we all lost a friend. We really did. We lost a friend. I coached with him for 3 years and coached against him for 7. And, we'd battle on Friday night, but on Saturday morning, we'd go get go get breakfast together and talk about it and all that stuff. And I thought about that when you said that.
Jeff Kate, favorite memory of 2021?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I mean, obviously, it'd be hard to top, Blue Cross Bowl weekend just here in Chattanooga. But I mean, as far as during this season, kind of going back to kind of seeing two communities come together. I will kind of mention. I think I mentioned on the podcast after it happened, but Ooltewah and East Hamilton played in week 1, and what they call here as the Battle for White Oak Mountain. Right, White Oak Mountain is kind of the scape that runs in Ooltewah, and both these teams. East Hamilton's a newer school. Ooltewah has always been there, and they are traditional rivals. Obviously, East Hamilton hasn't had as much success against Ooltewah as they'd like, but they were able to get a win against the Owls. But at halftime of that game, both teams came together at midfield to kind of pay kind of give an honor to Judge Kilpatrick. He was a running back for East Hamilton who went through cancer and was able to beat cancer and ring the cancer-free bell this past summer. And, I know that Goose Manning got his team to sign a helmet just like that from his team, and it had a decal on the back with it said JK for his initials. It said Judson Strong on it, and they presented it to him at halftime. So, I think I mentioned it before, and I like the phrase community over rivalry, right? So, I mean, that's definitely kind of another example of, we may not like you guys, during this 48-minute period here on Friday night, but, in the end, it's a zip code, it's a community coming together to pay tribute and honor a young man who put up a good fight, definitely beat cancer and is cancer free. So yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite memories of 2021 as far as on the field for sure.
You people look down there and they think, Coach Stone, Coach Molnax don't like each other. And after that first game, we played the first game, and after that first game, I'd call him on Sunday afternoon when we were at our staff meeting and we were game planning, and I'd say, look, this team's doing this, and have you got some sort of, something that you've done, or help us out a little bit. And we'd fax back and forth plays and stuff like that, and different defenses and stuff. And those guys, that stuff right there is what really makes high school football.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Stone, would the Molinax tribute play be your favorite memory of 2021?
I do. Like I said, I don't know what I got to say, but Coach Cagle and Coach Moody, of course, Coach Moody played for Coach Molinax, and it's a great tribute, and I've always told people that Coach Molinax could take his and beat yours, and yours and beat his. He was one of those guys, and I've never. I almost didn't go. I got offered 2 jobs at one time, and everybody was going, "Don't go to Copper Basin, Lord, they're awful. They're terrible," And all of a sudden, I go up there, and I'm an offensive line coach and the defensive coordinator, and I learned so much football from him. We got beat that first year in the playoffs. Our defense gave up 1 touchdown in the first half in 10 games. And, there's just so many things that I learned from him. And, he'll always be missed, just being around.
From favorite memory, we'll go to favorite game of the year. Jeff, Kate, you saw some good ones beat them with the Coca-Cola Red Zone.
Man.
So, favorite game of the year for you all?
Oh, favorite game as far as one we were at. Before I do that, I will give you one that I kept track of was the Bradley Central Farragut game where Bradley Central went on the road to beat Farragut by 3 points on a 40-yard field goal at the buzzer. I mean, you can't beat that for sure. But as far as one that I actually covered, for the Red Zone, I have to go back. I mentioned it before on the show, the South Pittsburgh North Jackson game, right? A 21-20 South Pittsburgh win, big deficit, on the road. First time that these two teams had played. North Jackson was established, well after South Pittsburgh was. The first time that they had met on the field, and great atmosphere, and North Jackson got off to a really good start, and South Pittsburgh, man, they came back. I mean, you thought, okay, Coach Jones leaving. Not that long, before this game was going to affect this team. Let's see how they're able to respond, especially on the road against a team that is amped up to play them just as much as they're amped up to play the other team. Well, they come back, get a big touchdown there at the end. The extra point was the difference. And really, I think that was the turning point, not just of that game, but the season as well for South Pittsburgh, ultimately ending in a state championship. They're 6th in school history. And, I know that Heath Grider and Coach Weststone definitely we're definitely enjoying that. They hung around a little bit more after that game than probably they should have. But I think they were soaking in the moment and not just what they accomplished that night, but kind of how they kept that team together, and it kept that team going all the way until they won a state championship here a couple weeks ago. So I think that is my favorite game that I have covered this year, just because the adversity that South Pittsburgh was going through, the way they kind of battled back and got a big win on the road, for that matter, against a team that they were giving them their best shot. And it was a tough environment, but South Pittsburgh proved that they could handle it. And like I said, ended in a state championship for those guys a few weeks after that. What about you, Wes?
I'll tell you the game that the game that I attended that I absolutely was, fascinated by was Bradley and Ray County. I mean, that was a game, and there was a lot of offense, but there was a lot of defense. It wasn't just all offense. And the kid from Ray County is just phenomenal, and the running back,
yep,
and the kid from Bradley, his name skips my mind. What's his name?
I can't remember. He broke head coach's record, single season record. He's not number one overall, but he moved to number 2 in a single season there.
Those two teams were phenomenal. That game was, and you talked about Bradley and Farragut, but that was one more game, and I really thought Ray County was probably a team was going to be in Chattanooga.
Yeah, because I mean, you mentioned it. Ethan Davis. You kind of see that aspect of an offense in the running game they had, but you go on the flip side and kind of see what Aiden McCleary, the quarterback for Bradley Central, did was just airing it out throughout the whole game. So it was just back and forth. And I know that Bradley Central had some guys out of that game, but I mean at the same time though, you can use that excuse as much as you need. You can use it forever, but I mean, Ray County got the job done, and Ethan. That was that stretch where Davis was like just putting crazy numbers up on the ground, and it continued all the way until they got beat against Powell. So I mean, it definitely was not a fluke. I don't think so.
And I thought that was the best offensive and defensive line play of the year in that game. I mean, I was locked in that night.
My favorite game would be a game I did not go to, but the game we talked about extensively on the podcast. Jeff, you're going to laugh whenever I say this. It'll be Ray County and Carnes, due to the fact that Jeff Cate just about hit the number on the head for total rushing yards. They rushed combined for 614 yards, and Jeff Cate put the over-under at 615 yards. So, I mean, that is my favorite game. You've got the Carnes running back and Ethan Davis there at Ray County. Carnes running back who was leading the nation at one point, wasn't he?
Yep, Bishop. Yep, he was, and I mean 3,000 yards at the time, and it's like boom, 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 boom. There was a score. It seemed like every other play, but I'm glad you brought that up and kind of remember exactly probably my proudest moment in my best prediction of the year for sure.
Let me ask you this: is 2022 the year of the running back?
It definitely will be at Ray County. I can tell you that much.
That kid at Carnes, is he a freshman?
I think he's a class of 23 guy. He's a sophomore.
Sophomore this year.
The guy at and I'm sorry about this. The guy at Bradley, he's a freshman.
Man.
And didn't Walker Valley have a running back that really? There's going to be people all over me about this. But I mean, next year, 2022, that's
a possibility.
You're going to have running backs all over the place.
I think it's going to be the year of the offensive line, personally.
Well, see, Jeff Cate, I was just about to ask Coach Stone the question. Coach Stone, the best offensive line you saw all year was who?
Gosh. That was probably Ray. Probably Ray. And Bradley's was very, very good.
Meigs County
was good. A lot of people when you talk spread offense and today's signing day, and I've been listening to Josh Heupel and all this stuff, those guys they're totally run first. The offensive coordinator at Tennessee was on a little bit ago, and I was watching him, and we won't run the ball first. We're gonna get them up there, get safeties making tackles, and then boom, we're gonna go over the top of them. And they were showing some of the wide receivers that they signed today, and I'm telling you, those cats can go. And a lot of the highlights, you could see fakes, and they had defenses coming after those fakes in that running game, and then all of a sudden, on top of them, those guys that ran the spread.
I know I'm biased, but you can't help but smile when you think about the future of Tennessee football. I mean, you've got a guy who took what talent we had at Tennessee this year, takes them to a 7-5 season. Whenever most people predicted 5-7, 6-6 at the best, and then you get your starting quarterback from this year coming back next year. Possibly Cedric Tillman, your best wide receiver of all year, is going to come back next year. It's a possibility. You know, you get these guys coming in. Offensive line played a lot better than expected. Defensive line played a lot better than expected. You get 2 starting linebackers back from injury, and one being Juwan Mitchell, who played the first 3 games and looked fantastic. You know, Jeremy Banks did a good job at linebacker. You know, on the run game, and got progressively better in the passing game over the course of the year. But you just can't help but smile thinking about Tennessee football going over the next couple of years.
You know, you're talking about linemen. That daggum Walter Nolan is something else.
He's big.
He signed with Texas A&M, but I read a while ago that don't be surprised if he's not back at Tennessee when he gets out there. And you know, he's kind of a jump arounder. So, but he was
Texas A&M's got the number 1 class right now, don't they?
Yeah. Them are Alabama one. Excuse me. I tried to hit mute. Them Alabama and Georgia just bouncing back and forth.
Jeff Kate, favorite player that you saw all year?
Me, of course. No, I'm kidding. No.
Tim Towle.
Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, I would definitely have to say Tim Towle. No
Tim
doubt about that. I mean, golly, man, let's see. There's so many. Oh, man. I mean, you know, there's so many great players that we saw. I was really impressed with the kid from Oakland we mentioned, you know, last week, the tailback that's going to Georgia, just seeing kind of how he was able not only to get 230-plus yards on the ground in a 6A state championship game, but also just kind of seeing his, you know, being able to kind of plug in and make things happen in the passing game as well. I mean, he had a couple of nice gains in that game against Summit a couple of weeks ago. So I would definitely say James from Oakland for sure.
Coach Stone, favorite player you watched all year?
I like the way Ty Simpson. I thought he looked like a college player out there in that football game. But I think he's making a mistake by going to Alabama.
It's all right. Tennessee's got Taven Jackson coming in. It's all right.
Yeah, very impressed with him. Did you see what that guy said today? They said, "Are you looking forward to this? Speed up offense, this hurry up stuff, and all this stuff?" He said, "Well, being a guy that came from a school that ran the slowest offense in America, any level," and that guy said, "What'd y'all run?" He said, "The wing T."
Man.
But they were a spread wing T kind of guy.
If I had to pick a player, I'm going to stay local with this. I'm going to go Keaton Herrig, quarterback at Loudon.
Yeah.
To me, he was a finalist for Mr. Football. To me, I thought he played the quarterback position very well. And I thought he managed the offense. He set school records this year. He was a 4-year starter. To me, I thought he did a fantastic job of just playing the game of football, and you always saw his name week after week, being player of the week or something like this, and I thought he did a good job.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And, a guy that just kind of, came to my head when you were talking, Wes, as far as local goes, I always go back to South Pittsburgh's DeAndre Kelly, right? I mean, just the speed he has, and, it made several big plays. He scored 2 touchdowns in that state championship game against that South Pittsburgh had a couple weeks ago as well against McKenzie in their undefeated season. So, guys like that, South Pittsburgh had a ton of weapons, but, guys like Rico Tribble, he signed with East Tennessee State today from Red Bank. So he was definitely a good player for the Lions as well. So, several great guys throughout the area, and the best, there's going to be several of those next year. So, as we go into 22, we'll be kind of getting you guys geared up for what will be another exciting high school football season for sure.
Let's see. We'll finish with one more question here, and we will go. Jeff, I'm gonna let you ask the last question because I just can't think of one right now.
Is it over already?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Happy trails.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Yes.
I just thought of one.
Okay.
Let's hear it. Go ahead.
What's the up and coming teams in 2022? Got any? Not
Let's just go with storylines. Does McCauley go back to back to back to back? Does
four in a row?
Yeah, 4 in a row. Definitely a strong case.
What about Alcoa?
Yeah. Go ahead and put them down. I mean, yeah.
Several great
Alcoa,
storylines. Who does Baylor bring in? Right, because Coach Massey is not going to be the coach for the Red Raiders starting next year. So, is that kind of leading up to a clash between Baylor and McCauley to see if that streak can turn? So, I mean, so many great storylines that are only going to be developing throughout the winter months and kind of blooming as we get into spring and summer workouts. So, there's going to be a lot to keep up with for sure.
Wesley, you can assign us to go watch spring practice, at different days,
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'll do. But no, for real, guys, I appreciate you, Coach Stone, and Jeff making a podcast happen. We say this all the time. We're kind of a wing it kind of podcast. We get on here and we just talk football. Behind the scenes, Jeff Cate gets just about every single guest that you heard on the podcast all year. Jeff Cate, the man, he gets everybody to come on the podcast, and
he's a legend.
He is. I mean, he's better than Tim Tao in my book.
That I will not deny. But as far as being a legend, I mean, definitely.
Guy's a legend.
I mean, I definitely say, like I'd say on the Red Zone, it's a team effort. Yeah. It takes all of it, all the spokes in that wheel going in one direction to make it work. And, glad to have been a part of this podcast through the whole year because I contributed some in the 2020 season, when all 3 shows were kind of on one platform. But I'm glad to hopefully, going to see where this thing takes off from here. I'm sure I know kind of like Tim Morgan at Chattanooga Sports will tweak some things and kind of maybe have some new things come about and have more guests come out in the 2022 season. So stay tuned for that on the Friday Night Pressbox Twitter and all of our Twitter handles as well. And we'll be ready to roll in 22 for sure.
So what you're telling me right now, Jeff Cate, is that Jeff Cate will be coming back to the Southeast Tennessee Friday Night Pressbox podcast.
I'm not at liberty to discuss that because we're in the middle of negotiations. So
okay.
Well,
negotiations.
That was my question,
Coach Stone. You don't have a choice.
When are you gonna send out contracts so we can look over them?
Well, you don't have a choice, Coach Stone.
Well, whenever Tal gets off the prowl, we'll probably have to do that. So,
I've got to get down and dig in some more stuff. Dig up some more stories.
But, anyways, guys, like I said, I do appreciate you, but most of all, we appreciate the listeners. And without them, we wouldn't be talking about this stuff. So, there were some pretty high numbers out there. During the season and even last week when we didn't think very many people would be listening. There was quite a few people listening last week. We've connected with some people on Facebook and they've become fans of the podcast and without them we wouldn't be able to do that. So
I love this because, and I said this when I first started a couple of years ago with Tim, anytime you can put high school football out there, that's a plus. Talk about high school football, and we got a great medium here to do it. And I think that's super for our schools, our individual players, and our communities. I love doing it.
I do want to give another couple behind the scenes people. Caleb Tallman, who does all the producing, he goes and edits everything and cuts it down for the live video there on Facebook. Jake West, with both of them are with Team FYN Sports. We are a branch of Team FYN Sports. They allow us to do this, and they're the people that let us talk about high school football. So
And the
thanks to
guy
those,
behind the scenes, Mr. Tim Towle.
Mr. Tim. I didn't want to give him very much credit, Coach